We do start with LSU and Arkansas tonight, an 8 o'clock tip from Bud Walton Arena. You can catch it on ESPN2. It'll be Tom Hart on the call with Jimmy Dykes on the color. Look, this is a huge opportunity for LSU, one that could do them a lot of good come Selection Sunday. But it's also a very daunting task as Arkansas has played exceptional basketball. It really goes back for these two teams to their meeting in early January. Arkansas has now since then won 13 of 14. They are 4-0 against the top 25. They come into this game 23-6 overall, 12-4 in league play, and the bottom fell out of LSU in late January, we know. But Arkansas's been rolling ever since that matchup. Your thoughts on the Hogs to this point before we get into the matchup tonight?
Yeah, a team that I really didn't think would be one of those powers in the SEC going into the season. I thought it would be the normal culprits, Kentucky obviously, and Auburn being a great team, and Tennessee being a good team. But Arkansas, I just didn't see them coming in, especially at this level. They've had some really dominant wins this season. They've really played extremely well. I don't know what it was about Coach Musselman messing up that shoulder, but ever since then they've been playing extremely well, and they've been led by J.D. Notae. I think Jalen Williams has played extremely well this season, and they're tough, man. They're tough, especially at home. I think they've only lost one home game all year, so they're a tough team, and they play extremely well. So they caught me by surprise, but they're here, and I think they're here to stay.
When they came to Baton Rouge, as you mentioned, Eric Musselman had the shoulder surgery. He was not able to coach. Keith Smart, Baton Rouge native, actually was on the bench in that game. LSU controlled the first half of that game and controlled the third quarter of that game, should we say the first 10 minutes of the second half. Had an 8-point lead with 9 minutes to play in that game, and Arkansas called a timeout. Hogs then went on a 10-0 run, take a 2-point lead. LSU got an Alex Fudge wing drive and jam to tie the game with 2 minutes to play. Then Jalen Williams hit a huge three from the top of the key for Arkansas, and they salted it away. The last 9 minutes of that game, 17-2 Arkansas. LSU just totally let it get away at the end after really a pretty solid 30 minutes of basketball, and that was kind of the pushing off point for Arkansas. So we'll talk about this Arkansas team. Statistically speaking, the biggest problem that LSU's got on their hands tonight is very, very clear. Arkansas leads the NCAA in free throws made. They get to the line very, very well, and they shoot them at a high clip. They're the second best free throw shooting team in the Southeastern Conference. They make almost 20 free throws a game. They are 16th in the country in opponent fouls per game. They draw about 20 for reference with LSU. The Tigers are 329th in the nation in fouls per game. They foul about 20 times. I could start reading you all these other stats, which we'll get to some in the personnel and the matchups and what LSU needs to do and all that kind of stuff. But I can pretty much stop right there. You trot them to the line and let them make 24 free throws. One, you're going to be in foul trouble, and you're going to have guys sitting on the bench that need to be out there. And two, Arkansas is going to score a bunch of points. That's the biggest thing for this game tonight.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want to do is Bud Walton and Bud Walton Arena is get the fans into it and then keep them on the foul line, because now their defense can set up on the other end, and we know how tough it's been for us, especially scoring the half-court set. So you want to stay out of foul trouble as soon as you can. You want to get your guys out there. For me, the one guy I'm looking for is Tari Eason. I want him out there playing. I think you're going to need him to have a huge game if you want to win this game on the road. Obviously, we didn't have Xavier Pinson in the first matchup against Arkansas, so I'm going to be looking for those two guys. I think if Xavier can play his brand of basketball at the point guard position, not turn the ball over, and Tari can keep the fouls down, continue to be aggressive, maybe get Jalen Williams in some foul trouble, I think that's the kind of recipe LSU should be looking for to try to have some success on the road tonight.
So Arkansas, more on the Hogs. They're a fine offensive team outside of the fact that they lead the country in free throws made per game. In offensive efficiency, they're 76th in the country. They're 80th in turnovers, 89th in offensive rebounding percentage. It's really J.D. Notae, and we'll get to him pretty shortly. And then there's some other guys that are his supporting cast. Defensively, they're very good. This is a really good Arkansas team on defense. Eric Musselman's a good defensive coach. They've got a lot of length. Jalen Williams is at the rim. He's not a huge shot blocker statistically, but he does alter some shots. Devo Davis is an elite defender. They're good on defense. They're 46th in the country in steals, 45th in shooting percentage. Just very solid and have been at times spectacular on defense. But as far as their personnel goes, as you mentioned, it starts with J.D. Notae. He's averaging 20 points per game in conference play, also averaging about 3.5 assists, which leads to Hogs. He's got the ball in his hands a ton. 31 points on A&M, 25 on Ole Miss, 28 on Auburn, 30 on Kentucky. And he's not just a one-trick pony just out there shooting threes. In SEC play, he shot 102 threes. He shot 153 twos. So he is plenty capable of getting to the rack, pulling up and shooting jump shot, getting to the free throw line. He can score from anywhere on the floor. He's a 75% free throw shooter as well. One thing I do like about the last couple games LSU's played, they did not let Kellen Grady get free in Rupp Arena to start launching threes. They did a really good job on switches of getting to him, of picking him up in transition, of just being very mindful of where he was all the time. They also, in the game against Missouri with Kobe Brown, immediately doubled him on every touch and made him a non-factor. So as far as the number one offensive option for these teams, LSU's done a pretty good job of taking him away in the last week. That's the goal for Note. There are some other guys that can get going, but if you can hold JD Note to 12 or 13 points, all of a sudden the game changes.
Yeah, he's our point guard, and I think the difference between him and Kellen Grady is Kellen can't really get to the basket and really break you down off the dribble as well as Note can. He's a three-level scorer, and he's really difficult to stop. You see him averaging almost 20 points in the SEC. Not many people can point and say they're doing that. It's impressive. So I think for us, really being dialed into the game plan, I'm sure Coach Wade's going to have a game plan to try to slow this guy down. I don't know if he's going to be trapping the high pick and rolls, or if he's going to be double teaming him in certain situations. Maybe if he beats someone off the dribble, but you're going to have to slow him down. That place will go, the roof will blow off that place if he starts knocking out threes and he's getting to the free throw line. They're setting up their defense. That's the last thing you want to have happen. So I think the full attention really should go to him. And I think after that, you want to keep Williams off the board, especially off the offensive glass. If you can do some of those things, and now you're setting yourself up to have an opportunity to win this game.
If Oscar Tshiebwe wasn't in this league, Jalen Williams would be thought of as the best big playing right now, because in the last 6 games, he's double-doubled in all 6. He's averaging 14 points and 12 rebounds. He's got 10 double-doubles in SEC play. 6'10" sophomore has been awesome. Now, he's not a great three-point shooter, just happened to throw the 3 in against LSU at the worst possible time for us, but he's 24% from there. But what he is a ball of energy at 6'10". He plays so hard, he hustles, and the crowd responds to him. They know he's kind of the heart and soul of the team. JD Note is the headliner, but he's kind of the heart and soul. He's been the SEC Player of the Week twice now, and he changes the energy level in that building.
Yeah, he plays extremely hard on both sides, and I know Arkansas fans there. He's not that traditional back to the basket big like we've seen in the '90s with Patrick Ewing and Hakeem Olajuwon. That's not what you're going to see here. You're going to see a guy that plays with a ton of energy. He's got to block shots. He's got to rebound the basketball. He's going to play with high energy on both sides. He's got to run the floor and put pressure on your bigs to get back on defense, and that's what he brings, and that's the exact role that they need. For me, LSU, they need to do a tremendous job of keeping him off the offensive glass. Once he's on that offensive glass, now he's forcing your bigs to be in foul trouble, and then now they got to go sit on the bench. So he's definitely a guy you got to have to keep your eyes out, because he's their energy right there, and when he goes, he makes that whole team go.
Stanley Amude is the other guy I want to mention, 6'6", fifth-year senior, averaging 13.5 points per game, shooting really, really well from the 3, 41%. He made 6 of them against Missouri. So he scored 31 on Georgia. Like, they've got some other guys besides Note. He's just the headliner. But Amude is a good 6'6" shooter on the edge as well. So as far as this goes, now that we've got an idea of what Arkansas is and how well they're playing, my keys for LSU are simple, but I'll toss it to you first. I mean, what are you writing on the whiteboard when you get in the locker room as the 2 or 3 things that LSU's got to handle?
For one, and Bud Walton, you don't want to turn the ball over. I think that's going to be huge. You don't just want to have empty possessions. It's too tough to score in the half-court sets. I wish I could know if they're going to shoot a high percentage from three-point line, but since that's not guaranteed, you're going to have to take care of the ball. And I think, too, no stupid fouls. I know it's going to happen. It's a basketball game. You play a physical brand of defense, but you got to stop with the stupid fouls, like the fouls 30 feet away from the basket. If a guy beats you off the dribble, he's taking it tough to the basket, and you want to foul him, keep him from getting the and-1, that's fine. But the wacky, reaching the cookie jar fouls 30 feet away from the basket, we can't have that. And I think Xavier Pinson showing why he was missing in that first matchup, really be that point guard. I would love if he can have 8 or 9 assists tonight, get some other guys going, get some confidence going. I think if all 3 of those things happen, I think it's setting up for LSU to have some success tonight.
So the first thing for sure is the fouls. You just simply can't have your best players picking up fouls and sitting on the bench, meanwhile trotting Arkansas to the free throw line. If you do that, you have no chance. What LSU needs to do in this game, in my opinion, is yes, when you get a turnover, let's go. Let's run. Let's get out in transition and try to beat Arkansas back down the floor. If you don't get a turnover, you just get a defensive rebound, or they score. I think LSU's got to play slow. LSU can't beat this team in the 80s. It's just not going to happen. For LSU to win the game, it needs to be in the 60s. I think LSU's defense gives them a fighting chance against this Arkansas team, specifically if they rebound well. I think their first shot defense will be okay against this Arkansas team, which is streaky and can get that place rocking and rolling and roaring, and that can happen. But it's possible to hold them, under 70 points. Likely? No. But I've said from the start that I didn't think LSU was going to win this game. But how can they win it? You've got to slow it down. If you get this thing up and moving and running, look, Arkansas loves to run. They are 29th in the country in possessions per game. They want to get up and down the floor. Bud Walton loves that stuff. They love calling the hogs and getting it up and down and moving. LSU can't play into that. It's too many possessions and too many opportunities for Arkansas to shoot on one and LSU to shoot on the other end, and Arkansas is better at shooting. And you're just going to get too many possessions. Well, and LSU needs to slow it down and try to take shots under 10 on the shot clock, under 8 on the shot clock, and try to keep this thing in the 60s. That's the best thing, and that's going to all come down to Xavier Pinson and his feel for the game. If you see something, go. If you don't, pull it back, set it up, and let's try to attack this offense. Again, if you do that, you're not asking yourself to shoot an insanely high percentage and score 78 points. Just trying to slow everything down. I know that's against LSU's nature at times, but look, teams that try to go in there and run and gun, Auburn, Kentucky, it doesn't work. They win. They win every time. So you got to change it up, in my opinion.
Yeah, that would be good. And I think we've seen that with Xavier being back in the lineup. We had that game stretch where every time was push, and that's all we knew. We saw some turnovers come out of that. We saw some, good looks at the rim that sometimes didn't fall all the time. I think really slowing it down a little bit and having that point guard presence where when to attack and when to pull it back and try to start running some sets and getting some guys some easier looks, because once you start, getting that team on a 5-0, 6-0, 7-0 run, that the roof's going to blow off that place, and it makes it extremely difficult for you to dig yourself out of that hole. So just being smart with the basketball, I think that ties into my thing with, when to know when to push it and not turning it over. If you can do all those things, and then you got yourself a little bit of success right there.
For sure, and we'll see if the Tigers can do it. This is a quad one opportunity, obviously, on the road against a top 25 net team. I believe if LSU can go and win this game, you wake up with all the bracketologies throwing you towards the 6 line. I really think this is a game that can move you up a line. Some already have them on the 6, some have them on the 7. I think this moves you up a line. You go on the road, beat a team that's lost one road game all year, that's in the top 25 of the net. You had another quad one win. I really believe that you're staring at the 6 line, and that gives you a home game on Saturday with an opportunity to kind of cement yourself closer to that line to get away from the 1s and 2s. We talk about it we've talked about it for 2 weeks now, and it probably kind of gets old, but that's the reality that you're in right now. That's basically the consensus on the bracketology, guys, and when you look at the metrics, it kind of makes sense. So huge opportunity for LSU tonight, 8 o'clock from Bud Walton. It'll be Tom Hart and Brad and Jimmy Dykes on the call.
Thanks so much for watching Hunt Hill on YouTube.
Now do us a favor. Hit the red subscribe button below and throw us a like. See you next time.